Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm not filming a very happy video, but it's a video I've been meaning to make for a very long time, but I didn't want to make it because first of all, I wanted to see how the situation would progress and would evolve. And second of all, I absolutely didn't want to spread misinformation, especially at the beginning when I absolutely wanted to understand how things were going myself. And I wanted to see what the authorities were saying, what the healthcare professionals were saying. And I definitely wanted everyone, especially on the web, because there's so much misinformation, to get the information from like trustworthy resources instead of a random person like me. But now I've decided to make a video just to share my point of view because I think it could be really interesting and important, seeing how despite the mistakes that I think we made, even though most of the things that happened were not our fault and there was no way to face the pandemic in a way that in a better way than we did for the most part, because a lot of it was unknown. It was really entering unknown territory. We didn't know how to process it. But given how China handled it and given how we handled it, I'm now seeing that Spain, that the US, and many countries that are facing an exponential growth in cases are not taking our example, or not following our example in a lot of ways. The issue that we had and that China had is the issue that every single healthcare system in the world has. So there's no way that anyone can stop it. There's really not much that we can do, but definitely hear from those that have gone through it first. And depending on that, like, base what you're going to do and the choices that you're going to make on the choices that the people that have lived this have made first, because I think that's the smartest thing to do. So basically, the first cases of coronavirus happened in Italy, and they started showing up at the end of February. It started spreading from the north, possibly due to someone coming from Germany or a country like that to northern Italy, possibly to ski. And then from northern Italy, it spread to the south, roughly at the end of February, beginning of March. So it's been now a month that we've been in full lockdown, entire country. One thing that I'm gonna say, the first thing I'm gonna say is why I think it's such an issue. So basically what the coronavirus is a virus that causes symptoms similar to the flu. So you might have a cough, you might have a cold, you might feel tired, have a fever, and then most likely you might develop issues with breathing. Men are affected more than women, not in like a much higher proportion, but definitely it's more men than women. It's more adults than, and especially older people as compared to younger people. So far, at least that I know of, we've had no deaths among infants. It's been especially mostly about older people, people between the ages of, like, I would say over 60, especially over 70, 80. But I've heard of people dying who were in their 30s, even late 20s. So it's not much about the age. I would say adults and older people mostly, even more than, as I said, infants, and also as compared to pregnant women, which is a more positive thing because it doesn't look like these people are that much affected, which is at least, something a little bit better. But it's that, and usually people with pre-existing conditions have it worse. And by pre-existing conditions, I mean especially respiratory and cardiovascular issues, as well as diabetes and other issues that a physician might be much, much more, qualified and able to describe as compared to me. So this is what I've heard and that I know, but it's not everything that you should know. So I strongly recommend you turn to a healthcare professional if you have any questions. But basically what happened was that it started spreading, and what the government did is at the beginning they closed the schools and they stopped public events, and they closed gyms and cinemas and theaters. But then they started closing things like little by little, instead of going into full lockdown straight away. So we saw barber shops and shops closing, and then we saw some people going into remote working instead of going into the office every day, especially for those companies that had lots of employees that got sick. And then we started seeing people actually going into full lockdown, and we are required to basically fill in a form and present it to the police if we go out, saying where we're coming from, where we're going, and why we're going there. But it took a while for the borders to close, for the transportation to get a bit limited, and for the police and the military to start checking people that were on the streets, going out, visiting people, or just going to the barbershop, going to a bar, or stuff like that. So it took us weeks to get to the point that we're now in, which is full lockdown, where we just go out if we need to go to the doctors, to the pharmacy, or if we need to go to the grocery shopping. Even though a lot of people are also grocery shopping online, which is great, we have this possibility, but in bigger cities, that's difficult because you have like a 2-week waiting list. So that's incredibly insane. So it's not easy. We still go out. We're in full lockdown, but it took us weeks to get here. And in the meantime, people were traveling, at least by train or car. They were going to, maybe smaller shops. The malls were closed before, but smaller shops took a little longer. They were going grocery shopping a lot. Older people are used to going grocery shopping every day. They're used to going to their doctors, and lots of people went into hospitals or went to their doctors when they had COVID, when it was actually told that you're not supposed to go in a hospital or to your doctor if you have COVID. You have to call a specific number because you have to tell them that you have certain types of symptoms, and then if they think you might have COVID, they will tell you where to go. So I guess the reason why I'm making this video, is to beg people in those countries that are seeing an exponential growth in cases to please lock themselves in self-isolation, even if you have no symptoms, just in general, out of, I would say, use your moral compass, and please understand that this is a public health safety matter, and that if you stay inside, no matter your symptoms, no matter where you went, and you try to minimize going out, that's much better for everyone, no matter what city you live in, what country you live in. Mine is a request and almost like a plead I'm almost begging you to do this, because we have seen the consequences of being naive, of going lightly, of taking measures that were precautious but not enough. We're seeing pharmacists getting sick. We're seeing nurses and doctors getting sick. I've just seen the head of the gynecology unit in one of Bergamo's hospitals that went out of the intensive care unit after 10 days because of COVID. And this was a doctor not even working in a COVID environment. He was in gynecology, so possibly delivering babies, and he probably caught COVID from someone that had it or a different doctor. When we're saying that doctors are getting sick, we're not just talking about doctors that are on COVID. We're talking about doctors that work with women giving birth, with people having heart attacks, with people that have accidents. So I am begging you to do the right thing for everyone. I have seen people that, not that I know directly, but that I know through friends and family, or family's friends, that are in the hospital, that died, and stories in the news. It's heartbreaking, and it's going on everywhere. And The reason why it's going on everywhere is because there aren't enough ventilators, supplies, resources, even human resources, as I've said. Doctors, nurses are getting sick, right? And the reason is no healthcare system is prepared to face a virus that causes interstitial pneumonia in so many cases. We're not used to having so many people in an intensive care unit at once. We're not used to it. No healthcare system is prepared to face something like that. We're just not prepared to do that. We are using military equipment that is normally used in war zones, and that is not enough. So what I'm telling you is not that you're not supposed to go out because you're not supposed to catch it. Because guess what? We're probably gonna, I'm not saying all of us, but a big proportion is gonna get it. What I'm asking you is to slow the rate at which it's progressing, because that's what we need. We don't have enough ventilators. So we need a way for people to get better, for other people to get sick. Okay, otherwise more and more people are gonna die. It's not a matter of which country has the highest rate of older people. It's not a matter of which healthcare system is better. It's a matter of no healthcare system is prepared for this, and the only way to make sure that fewer people die is to make sure that we don't get the virus altogether. And in order to do that, we need to stay inside, work from home, study from home, take care of children from home, see as few people as possible, and only when absolutely necessary. Do not go to the doctors and do not go to hospitals if you have symptoms. Please call 911 or whatever number is you're meant to call in your country. And please do not go out unless absolutely necessary. There are plenty of things you can do inside. You can study, you can work, you can take care of your children, you can clean, you can go for a walk in a garden if you have a garden. You can take care of your herbal garden. You can play with your kids. You can fix that cabinet. You can, fix your pantry. You can get that closet cleaned up. You can declutter, a room that you have. You can do whatever you want. What I'm saying is, please do this. Please learn from those who have made mistakes before you, because we're not used to facing a situation like this. And many governments are naive. They're blind in front of the reality of it all, because they're scared, because there's no one way to face this that's smart other than trying to stay inside as much as possible. So from an Italian who has seen enough, I'm begging you to do the right thing for you and the people you love. Everyone, take care. I love you. Bye.